Waiting for a few more who are still at the sign-up table, so make yourselves comfortable. Feel free to come on right up front in all these empty chairs if you'd like. We're so glad you're here. We'll start in just a couple minutes. Good morning. I am so happy that you are here this morning. I warmly welcome you to Christ Memorial Church. As I was listening to the music playing in the background, I'm thinking, you, Lord, alone are our strength and our shield. God has given us boundary lines set in pleasant places, and surely God has given us a wonderful inheritance. And growing old is part of that wonderful inheritance. And so we're so pleased that you've made this part of your day, and hopefully you'll be able to come each week as we celebrate aging in place. And I want to say, I want us not only to age in place, but to thrive in place and to flourish in place. And I know that many of you go to Evergreen Commons and enjoy all of the things that Evergreen Commons has to offer. And so I'm thankful that this is part of that offering. Will you pray with me, please? Good and gracious God, we thank you for the morning. We thank you for the new blessings that this day brings. We thank you that your love, that your care is new every morning. And we thank you for this opportunity to learn and study together, to better understand, oh God, what you have for us in the days and years to come, that you are not letting us free from the tethers of your service and of being fulfilled. And we thank you, Lord, that you have given us every promise to continue to be vital and of service in your world that you so love. So God, come be with us, fill us with your Holy Spirit as we seek you and seek your face and seek the opportunities that you have for us in the days to come. We pray that you would bless our time together now, bless our conversations, oh God, and keep us in your care as we learn together. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, you are almost all probably active at Evergreen Commons. And so I want to say there's a lot more to Evergreen Commons, as you probably know, than lunch and exercise opportunities and enrichment classes. Within the goal, it is to inspire purposeful and active living for older adults. It is recognized that aging is not easy, and that's why we're all here, right? Evergreen Commons is focusing on disrupting the way people age and helping them age better. With that, there are times when a little extra support and guidance is needed. And so I trust that all of you have come at this time for that kind of extra support and guidance. Suzanne Visser, as many of you know, has been with Evergreen Commons for 29 years and is the Director of Care Coordination and Resources, including the Resource Center and Hub. And Suzanne Scholes started at Evergreen Commons in 2007 and is the director of the Day Center and Caregiver Support Services, which is housed at the second campus on 16th Street. Together, the Suzannes, as you know and love them as, and they're over here, the Suzannes lead the care and support pillar at Evergreen Commons, providing community resources, encouragement, and coordination of services to the community beyond just the members of Evergreen Commons. And so we are thrilled that they are going to engage all of us for the next 3 weeks together. And we just are very anxious to hear from them and to learn from them. So again, thank you for coming. And I turn it over now to the Suzannes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. We both hesitated to get up because we don't know who's starting this off. I think it's me. And I actually have the remote in my pocket, so I should remember that too. So I'm Suzanne Scholes. I am the director at the Day Center campus, our 16th Street campus, and we also have caregiver support there. And like Pastor Judy said, I did start there in 2007, and we do have, between the two of us, a little bit of competition going to see who is going to be able to work at Evergreen the longest. So between the Suzannes, we have 29 years and 19 years experience about there, and it's pretty fun to be there and see all of the evolution of what's happening at our organization, to see how we're disrupting aging, and to just be a part of working with the community to be able to provide these services and resources to you. So there you go. It's true. We both work there. Our pictures are up there on the screen. So we did that intro. Suzanne will talk a little bit about her experience too, but we're going to jump right into talking about what it means to age in place. And there's a reality that comes with aging. 95% of adults 60 years and older have one chronic health condition. 80% of adults 60 years and older have two or more. And those common health conditions that everybody is kind of anticipating or struggling with as they age are usually cardiovascular disease, diabetes, dementia, and some sort of anxiety or depression. Most detrimental health conditions later in life, I just mentioned, can lead to functional limitations and can change our goals in the way that we age and what we want to do. And as the population increases, 1 in 3 older adults will live with the diagnosis of some type of dementia. And when we say with some type of dementia, we're talking over 100 types of dementia or cognitive impairments that are affecting the way we're functioning as we age. And those cognitive impairments can start as early as our 30s or 40s. We can see cognitive changes. Currently, there are 11 million caregivers of people with dementia, providing about 18 billion hours of unpaid care. So not only are we thinking about the individuals living with those chronic illnesses and diseases, and living with or anticipating living with a cognitive impairment, but we're also thinking about their care partners and what the detriments of aging and caregiving can do for someone who is assisting their parent or their spouse with some of these challenges. And the best time to think about aging in place and how you want to age in place is before you or your loved one needs a lot of care. So getting a plan ahead of time, and that's why you're all here today thinking about this. One of the things that we also recognize is that you're not always excited to think about what it means to age not as gracefully as you would like to. So just making sure we're asking ourselves the question, what is my goal? So when it's time for me to make these decisions, do I know where to go? Do I know what to do? And how am I going to meet that goal? So asking yourself this primary question, what is my goal as I'm aging? Have you thought about your plan? So up there on the screen, many of you probably recognize the Golden Girls. They found themselves in grocery stores in Florida, hypothetically in a sitcom world, trying to figure out what to do next as they were aging and as they were widowed or single and facing challenges that come with what happens with your health and your social isolation and your mood and your emotions. And these gals, I don't know, they made it work with a lanai in their backyard in Florida with humor. But not all of us are facing the opportunity of living in a Golden Girls world. So we need to start making a plan now. So to age in place, I want to talk about what that definition means. It's the ability to live in your chosen residence and community safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of your age, regardless of your income or your ability. So to age in place means I know I want to stay home in my community, or it means I know I want to move to Holland, Michigan, and live in that community. It is your choice, it is your person-centered goal, and Evergreen Commons and the Holland community is an excellent resource to be able to help you meet that goal and to age in place in your environment of choice. And sometimes that environment of choice might not be your home. It might be a residential community targeting activities and services for older adults. It might be to be able to continue playing golf at your favorite course. It might be to live with your family members, maybe your children. Everybody's plan looks different, and we want to make sure that you understand that this aging in place definition is very individualized because we want you to focus on your plan, not what someone else thinks about what you should do. And it matters because it promotes your independence, quality of life, and ultimately it's going to reduce healthcare costs. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, and not everybody will have that same plan and goal. Benefits to aging in place are kind of very out front of everybody. It helps you have emotional well-being. It creates financial savings so that you can age without the worry that you won't be able to afford what you're doing. And it has community connections. So when you have this plan in place, you have community connections inherently set up for you because we are going to help you come up with a plan, come up with a goal, and then know who to communicate that plan to. So your circuit of people, your family, and your community would help ultimately keep you at your goal in where you want to be. There's a little overlap there, but it says some of the challenges to aging in place include physical barriers. So these are just questions to think about. What will my physical barriers be to living where I want to be? So Holland is a wonderful community where we have lots of options, and it is a walkable place, but it's also spread out. We have the north and south side, the east and west side, And some of those physical barriers could be within the community and how you get around. They could also be in the home. So what is a safe residence for you to be in, a safe environment? We want to make sure we're thinking about, are there any physical barriers to where I'm going to reside and sleep? And then also, are there any physical barriers to when I need someone to come into my home to help me? So luckily, we don't have any remote mountaintops where we have to take the mules in to get you services, but we want to make sure that those physical barriers are a consideration. So if you're living in a more rural area, there is a concern there to how services will get to you. Health concerns are a barrier. So if you're living with cardiovascular or mobility impairments or cognitive changes, something to consider and ask yourself are, what are those health concerns and what are the implications if I'm staying in my own residence, and how am I going to prepare for those? Social isolation is one of the most detrimental impacts to older adults' health, both physical and emotional, that we can face in our society. So social isolation, especially coming out of a pandemic, has become very clear that it is almost as important to take care of social connectedness and the depression and anxiety that comes with social isolation as it is to take care of your physical health, such as diabetes or cardiovascular disease. And then unexpected circumstances. So those are the circumstances where physical environment, family changes that are not anticipated are going to pop up, and we need to make sure that we're addressing any of those challenges, or at least having a plan for how to address those challenges, maybe before they happen. And this plan doesn't have to be chiseled in stone and very concrete. It's just asking yourself these questions. What are my resources, and how am I going to prepare myself for those unexpected circumstances? So if something happens and I need a new roof at home, or my car breaks down, or I can't drive safely anymore, do I have something lined up to make sure I know what the next step is in my plan? I'm going to ask Suzanne, am I still on this slide?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We have notes, but we've done this a couple times, and we go back and forth and change our slides. So again, we're going to ask ourselves these important questions. And again, these are all very individualized and tailored to each person so that you can reach your goals and meet your goals. And that is, what is my goal? Do I already have a plan in place for myself or my future or someone I'm taking care of? Is there someone in my circle that I need to assist in helping reach their goal and identify their plan? So is it a spouse, a sibling, a friend, a parent, a neighbor? What might I need help with? So you each know yourselves probably almost as better than anyone else. So you kind of take that internally and ask yourself, what might I need help with? What can I do for myself? And then what might I need as a support system if I can't do those things for myself? Who's going to help me? So this Holland community is so rich with resources. We want to talk about some of those resources, and we want to talk about some of those options for support. And we're going to get into that a little bit further. But we want to make sure you're asking and identifying those ahead of time so that you know that there are options to turn to. Because oftentimes we're not planning for crisis. We want to make sure that we don't need to triage a situation if we have something to fall back on. So that's the goal of Aging in Place, is making sure that you're not living in crisis, that you know that there are support systems around this community and a lot of communities in the area, and how to find the right people to help. And then where do I live? Where do I want to live? What do I want to do if there's a need to move from where I want to live? What's my backup plan? And then mobility. How am I going to get around? So those are key questions to ask yourself. And it's kind of coming up with that itinerary of, and if you've ever read books with alternate endings, I'm going to start here and then I'm going to follow this path and this itinerary, but what if something changes that journey? Where do I go for this alternate ending? So all those critical thoughts that we typically don't ask ourselves because we want to jump into our retirement and golden years and just kind of breeze through, and sometimes that doesn't happen for all of us, and we want to be prepared. So where do we start? Suzanne is going to tell us where to start and guide us through some of those community resources that will help us make our plan.
So I'm the other Suzanne, excuse me, and I am the director of the Resource Center and Care Coordination at Evergreen Commons. I kind of like just to get a little idea of the room. Who here is familiar with the Resource Center at Evergreen Commons? Okay, we've got a few, maybe 5 to 10 for those of you who can't see the hands. What I want to say right up front is that I heard someone say when they walked in that they weren't sure what to expect. Shoals is great about kind of the view up here, and I'm going to get really into a lot of details. And if you, as I'm talking, are like, oh, that doesn't apply to me, or this applies to me, just know that our resource center has resource coordinators that you can meet with personally, okay? We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 3. You can call on the phone, you can email. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about our resource hub. So just know that when you come to a big, presentation like this, there's a lot of information, but we all have little things running through our head that are our own personal situations. So just know that I'm going to be talking about a lot of information. Some of it might not apply to you, some of it might. I'm not going to say every single little thing about every detail. So if you're like, oh, I want to know more about that, just know that you can meet with someone in the Resource Center. Oh, and I need to do this. Okay. So the Resource Center, we have extensive information. So basically what the Resource Center is, it's not just about Evergreen Commons. Evergreen Commons has, as many of you know here, if you don't, we are basically a fitness center, we're an enrichment center, we have a pool, we have a wood shop, we have tons of classes, we have a day center, we have caregiver support, so much. But what the Resource Center is, what I like to think of as outward facing. So we face the community and we make connections with service providers, medical professionals, and nonprofits, partnering with them in our resource hub. We just entered 200 organizations into our directories that we really feel that we know all of them. We know them even better now because we just entered them into our resource hub. But just know that we have senior living communities, in-home care providers, transportation, elder law attorney information, caregiver support, respite and education, Medicare counseling. So what we also do, and I'm talking a little bit more about Evergreen, but this is in the community, we have counselors that you can meet with that are non-biased, and you can discuss your Medicare options, whether that's a Medigap policy, a prescription drug plan, or an Advantage plan. Most of you here know about open enrollment, October 15 through December 7. So we have individuals that you can meet with personally at Evergreen to talk about your options. The Evergreen Resource Hub. We just launched this last week, and I couldn't be more thrilled with it. When I first started at Evergreen as a care coordinator, we would go out into homes, and we just had a few brochures that we'd grab out of the drawer if we knew about a need. We'd have an occasional member that would come upstairs. We'd hand them a brochure about the community, about Community Action House, that you could, it's food insecurity, giving them resources for that. We'd hand out a brochure on Royal Park, little things like that. So I'm going to pull up the resource hub at the end so that you can see it live. And there's also a QR code in the back. When you first walked in, and many of you maybe grabbed it, I hope there was enough. If there's not, we can make copies. Melissa, if those are gone in the back, maybe make some copies. So within that resource hub, we have 6 topics: care and support, living and mobility, financial and legal, Medicare and Social Security, community engagement, and health and wellness. Basically, it's an extension of the Resource Center. What we found is that we could only reach so many people. We get probably 1,800 inquiries a year, either by walk-ins or phone or email, and we talk with all these individuals. And we wanted to be able to reach more people, so that's what the hub does. So a deeper look. I have just recently started to take a deeper look with my parents. I don't think they would mind me. I was going to invite them, and then I'm like, nah. I've just started taking a deeper look with my parents, just about what it really looks like to age in place. I got a little funny thing here. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Snapchat, but they have a filter on there that you can age yourself like 30 years. So I did that. I can't unsee it. So I did it like 5 years ago, and every once in a while I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm turning into that person. So I'm 56, and I think I really haven't thought about it too much for myself, but doing it with my parents has really opened my eyes to, Suzanne touched on it, about what your home really looks like. Do you want to stay in your home? Is that really the place for you? She touched on that a little bit. You know, what does it look like in there? Do you have, this is a big thing. We started looking at senior living communities, and my dad, all he cares about is a garage, which I didn't even think of. He's like, where's the garage? I'm like, I don't know where the garage is. I mean, it's beautiful here. So how far away is the garage? I mean, it's all about the garage. So all those little things. So these are some services that you can get in your home. Home delivered meals. There's many options. This is kind of a, 3 meals a day. It's a lot. And where do you get nutritious meals? It's a lot of planning. So there are a lot of different options out there for home delivered meals. In-home care, we have a list of in-home care agencies on the website, and you can also, we can email them to you. You can come and pick them up. Personal emergency response buttons. You're probably all familiar with the commercial, I've fallen and I can't get up. It's exactly what it is. It's a button. You can wear it on your wrist. You can wear it around your neck. But there's a lot of different things that you can get with that. You can get medication dispensers. What else? It's just, I mean, a lot of you, I think what a great thing is, a lot of people have watches that have fall detection. I think that's a great thing. It also has, if you have a loved one with dementia, that it also has location devices. Care coordination and support, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Suzanne is going to talk more about adult day services and caregiver respite and support groups. I can tell I've got a lot of information, so I'm going to have to start talking a little faster. And can everybody hear me? I'm not talking too fast? Okay, great. So housing options. I touched on this just a little bit. Within this community, there are so many different options. What I would strongly recommend, even if you consider that you're like, no, I think I'm really going to stay in my home, I would strongly encourage you to go and visit these places. There is nothing like going in there, seeing what it looks like. I'm going to throw my dad under the bus again. I thought he would absolutely love this one place I brought him, and he couldn't stand it because it was all white. So he wanted to go to the place that had the brown wood. So just because it felt more like home to him, he was raised on a farm, and he's like, I don't feel at home in this other place. So I think there's also just to be able to see how far it is from all of, the apartments. How far is the dining room? I didn't realize how far the dining room was away. I like this other place better. This place has, there's a lot of senior living communities here. You've got Farmstead, you've got Royal Park, you've got Lifehouse, maybe they've changed the name, 40th Street. And there's a lot of, so the housing lists, they are Holland, the greater Holland area, but we also go as far to the Kent County line. So just different things to consider. Choosing the right type of senior housing for you depends on a variety of factors. So again, looking at these ahead of time, determine your current and anticipated care needs. What health concerns do you have? What do you think maybe your mobility level is going to be? Is your home does it have wide doorways? Does it have 2 steps to get in? Can you get a ramp in there? Do you have an attached garage? Understand costs and whether they fit within your budget. It's a very, very good idea to look ahead and see that, this is how much it's going to be. And, if you have a financial planner, talk with that person. If you don't have a lot of resources, talk with the resource center and say, hey, I'm really concerned that my wife is going to need a lot of care and we're not going to be able to pay for it. I'm not in the greatest health. I'm not going to be able to care for her in the home. And I don't know what we're going to do. So, and I'll touch on that in just a minute. And there we go. Tour facilities, meet staff, and talk to current residents to get a sense of the community. Medical services. There are, looking for a range of providers that can meet your needs. Flexible scheduling, in-home, in-office RN and or social work care management. So many doctor's offices have social work care managers now. Take advantage of that. Typically, they're RNs who have switched over to care management. So they're extremely valuable. I just met actually with some care managers from Holland Hospital on Tuesday. Just really a great group of people. In-office pharmacist, if you haven't asked your doctor if there is a pharmacist to talk to about all your medications, ask, and you can get an appointment with that pharmacist. Medication delivery through different pharmacies in the area. These are a few different medical providers that maybe some of you don't know about. Corewell Home-Based Primary Care and Tandem 365. If you have Priority Health, you may and have 2 or 3 primary diagnoses that would qualify you. You might possibly qualify for your medical team to come into your home. It is an incredible service. Primary care at home, same concept. Primary care at home, though, you do not need priority. Harmony Cares is also same thing, in-home medical provider. Advanced Primary Care is on 8th Street in the Priority Health building. They're an incredible office too. It's smaller, and they specialize in older adults. Transportation. You all got here today, so hopefully transportation isn't a huge issue for you, but it is an issue for a lot of people, and it might become a barrier for you. But their Max Transit is really a great system. They're actually going to be renovating it in the next 3 to 6 months, and it's going to be a lot better. Right now, the Wheel Hub, like where all the buses come, are right at the train station, and it's worked for a while, but they're going to redo it, and I think it'll be a lot better. If none of you have tried the Max Transit, I took it from my house to work. It was a very interesting experience. I would recommend it for everybody. And that's just a listing. I can't possibly, and I'm gonna admit this. I said it to Suzanne before. I'm the director of the Resource Center. I know quite a bit, but my resource coordinators know a lot more. So if you ask me about all of those things, I would have to pull up our resource hub to know exactly what they are. But just know that there's a lot of good transportation resources out there. Legal and financial assistance. So you're all here today. This is the first in our 3-part series. So it's today we're talking about aging in place and homes and kind of the more logistics, physical part of it. Next week, and I'm sure you've all seen that, next week will be Rollin and Alyssa. They'll be great. Please come back for that. So they'll talk a little bit more about caregiver support and hospice and in-home care. And then the last week will be Hans from Cunningham Bellman and Steve from Langland Funeral Home, and they will do a great job about just kind of talking about more paperwork and the such. So access to legal services, estate planning, Michigan statutory will is a great thing if you don't have a lot of resources and you don't think that you want to go through an attorney because you have extremely limited. The only way I would recommend that is if you don't own your own home and you don't have any savings or stocks, bonds. Advanced directives, I would strongly recommend that for everybody. I have them. I've told my kids they should have them. But they'll talk about that more in 2 weeks. Information and access to local, state, and federal assistance programs. These are great programs that we know a fair amount about in the Resource Center. The Michigan My Choice Medicaid Waiver Program is, in short, a nursing home diversion program. So what it does is it keeps individuals in their home who could not otherwise afford to privately pay. Senior Resources is the area agency on aging that does that for this area, and Reliance does Allegan County. So if you're a couple, you can still qualify for that. If you're a single person with very limited resources, but it would be under $8,000 in savings, checking, stocks, bonds, and an income below $2,400 a month, and you had care needs that would qualify you for nursing home care, you could possibly qualify for this program. Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program, that's actually SHIP now. It just changed in the last month. So that is us, the state health insurance program. So we also assist individuals in applying for the limited income subsidy. So if you have limited resources, limited savings and checking and income, then we can help you apply for the limited income subsidy that will help you pay for your prescriptions. So if you're having trouble paying for your prescriptions, contact the Resource Center and we can explain that for you and actually help you apply for that program. Food assistance, which is SNAP. We don't do that application, but we can steer you in the right direction. And then supplemental security income. That's for individuals who don't qualify for the minimum amount of Social Security. We don't do that, but we know where to refer people for that. And now it's over to Suzanne.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about respite opportunities. And in this section, it will carry into next week a little bit further, because we're talking about the respite opportunities for both individuals who are living with age-related illnesses, as well as options for care partners who might need a little extra service as well. And I want to say, as I was listening to Suzanne talk, we are deep diving into so many different resources. And again, we're here to answer questions, and we have contact information for the outward community so that we can guide you in the right direction. And last week, Evergreen Commons hosted Tulip Time luncheons. We had 400 plus people per day coming into Evergreen. And one of the most common things that we heard as tourists or folks coming into the community were leaving was, there is nothing like this in my community. Or Holland has so much, because they've been here in the city for the last couple days exploring Tulip Time and just been inundated with all of the information and great resources that we have in our community to help you age in place. So as we talk about all of these details, know that Holland is a very unique community in our state and in our country. Lots of people will come here and think, you've got to be kidding me. I can't believe everything you have. I heard someone say to Jill Versteeg, our president and CEO, your mantra to disrupt aging needs to go throughout the entire country. So that's pretty cool that we are being recognized for all of these services. And we also recognize that we are providing you a ton of information about our community that might be, hard to absorb right now. So as we talk about respite opportunities, respite is defined as a time when you need a break from the stress or the day-to-day tasks that you are providing to help someone else. So to provide respite, there are many options in Holland, and one of the least known options is adult day services. And so adult day services are day programs geared to keeping individuals in the home. It is a diversion to having someone come into the home and provide home care. And it's also a setting in which you can receive respite if you're the care partner, but you can also trust that your individual is getting the right supervision and oversight that they need. So in Holland, we have the Day Center of Evergreen Commons, which is just down the street on 16th from our main campus at State Street, and we have the Life Circles PACE program. Evergreen Commons Day Center is unique to the area because it's very comprehensive, and we have a model of therapeutic activities, health monitoring, respite, and bathing services that are a part of the community, not specific to Evergreen, but to those who need it, with lots of options to make it affordable. And the antiquated words that used to define what adult day services is adult daycare. And of course, with positive language, we want to make sure that we're not just providing daycare, we're giving purpose and we're giving engagement and connectedness to the community so that someone still feels that they're aging the way they want to. The PACE program at Life Circles, which is over on James Street, is a part of that Medicaid waiver program that Suzanne talked about. So with the correct medical diagnosis and financial eligibility, the PACE program will provide all of that health monitoring, therapeutic activity, and respite in a different concept, geared more toward the medical oversight because they have doctors and providers on site. We also see a lot of short-term respite stays taking place for individuals who are providing care to a family member. So a short-term respite stay might be going into one of those long-term care or assisted living facilities for just kind of a vacation. So an individual living with chronic health issues might go stay at a rehab facility, and the caregiver might go on vacation, or the care partner might do renovations in the home. So short-term respite stays are something that are very unique. Holland has a lot of options, whereas there's not been a lot of knowledge that you can just go to a living facility for a short term. The cost and the structure around how someone would afford those services is very unique to each individual. And I think Alyssa and Rollin from Anchor In-Home Care next week will talk more about that. And then there are home care options. Home care options are having someone come into your home to provide support to you and or a loved one that needs that support with personal care, grocery shopping, cleaning. There are many options to home care. The differential between home care and adult day services is that the cost effectiveness comes with going out to a program, but that's not the right fit for everybody. When you go to a program, you get a more cost-effective hourly rate of services. Home care can tend to be a little expensive, just depending on where that provider is coming from and what you're looking for. There are also resources in our communities between Allegan County and Ottawa County that will provide assistance in the funding and the cost for these options here. The other part of our support opportunities in our care and support pillar of Evergreen is to make sure that we're reaching out and providing education, workshops, resources for very disease-specific or care partner needs. So individuals who are caring for someone may tend to feel isolated and not connected with anyone else who's experiencing that burden or stress. So we encourage caregiver support groups. And those are hosted around the community. They are in faith communities. Sometimes caregiver support groups are facilitated and orchestrated by an individual who's experienced what it's like to be a care partner. We have them at Evergreen Commons. And these support groups provide opportunity for caregivers, family, friends, and others to discuss quality care to a loved one while receiving the support from their peers. A good caregiver support group is very peer-led. It might provide information about a specific topic, and it will allow people and peers who are living in like situations to compare and learn from one another about some of their best tips and tricks to providing that care and managing their own needs. Then we also encourage disease-specific support groups. So if you're someone living with Parkinson's disease, or you've lived with cancer or currently have cancer, if you live with a specific chronic illness, there are many disease-specific support groups through the community. Evergreen has a list of them. Different medical providers and health entities will guide you in the right direction if you want a specific kind of support. But allowing yourself to receive support is so important to making sure that you can age the way you want to. A couple months ago, our team at Evergreen learned about that. We read an article and learned about an aging chiasm. So as we're young, we're learning from our parents and they're providing care, or our caregivers, or our community and society. And as we start to peak on this arc, our position changes a little, and we start to experience what it's like to be independent, and then maybe have children and provide care, or have nieces and nephews or friends and provide care, as we're kind of at that height of the work-life, family life balance. But one of the things that we don't do well in our society, on the opposite side of a chiasm, which is an arc of experience, is to allow ourselves to receive care. So as a part of aging in place, it's good to start thinking about how you'll allow yourself to receive care, and what are you going to let go of, and how are you going to complete that parabola of a chiasm of life. So you received care, you gave care, you received care. How do you complete that? So being able to receive that care is one of those goals that you need to set for yourself. And that's a hard barrier for some of us to face. At the end of this slide, we just have caregiver support and education and workshops. And I think that's why I was mentioning that chiasm of care, is because some of that education, as you are all here today, receiving education, participating in a workshop and learning more, it's going to open up your thinking so that you can better prepare for your next steps. And we are finally to our resource hub slide. We're so excited to share with you. So in the back, EJ and Suzanne are going to navigate around our resource hub, and you can hear her talk through how to access these resources that we're talking about that are very geared toward the entire community of the Greater Holland Zeeland area. Our resources will touch on some aspects of Allegan County, a lot of Ottawa County, and then just provide you with ideas and concepts that you can think about as you're making your plan to age in place the way you want to.
To me? Perfect. Okay, great. And it's over there? Okay, right over here, great. Oh, where's my little mouse? Can I get my little mouse over there to navigate it? Yeah, I know. Keep looking. Oh, am I in it? Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay. Great. Oh, this is a little strange. Just bear with me a quick second. Okay, there we go. So this is the Resource Hub. if you look at the top here, we have the 6 topics I talked about. This talks a little bit about Evergreen Commons, and then we have directories. So I am just going to scroll around here on just a couple minutes, just to give you an idea of what you could look up on here. So we have a search bar, just in case you don't like, trying to search for a specific thing, and you already know what you want. If you're not sure what you want, so here's an example. Here's care and support, this page, and we have it separated into articles, directories, and downloads. So our team, we have 4 resource coordinators, and we wrote approximately 40 articles that we'll update periodically. Different articles like exploring the different types of dementia. Another one is improving communication with my loved one with dementia. Caregiver tips, navigating the early stages. So this is a lot about care and support. We also have guides. Guide to the Day Center of Evergreen Commons. This just talks about also some articles, additional resources for care partners. And then to navigate back to the main page, you just click right on the resource hub there at the top again. And then directories is separated out into, I believe, 12 categories. So housing, let's just go there because that's sort of what we're talking about. We have a lot of resources on housing. What you can do is, if you're familiar with, you can just kind of scroll through here. It says where these places are. So for example, Appledorn Assisted Living Center South, and then you click on more, and we have pulled information from all of these organizations, these 200 organizations. So it's all right here. I think that's what's the hardest for a lot of people that come into the Resource Center, is there is so much information in the community, and it's really hard to find. So what we love about this hub is it's all here. So the other thing, here's a list. We hand out this a lot. So under Living and Mobility, under Download, we have housing lists. So you can go to this website and you can download the assisted living facilities list. So I'll just pull it up here, and there it is. Allegan and Ottawa counties. You can print that off. Now, how do I get back? Do you know how I get back? This is what happens when you download. Oh, there we go. Great, okay, perfect. So, again, like I said earlier, there is something in the back, and most of you, I think, grabbed it. It's a QR code. You don't have to use the QR code. You can just go to evergreenhub.org and navigate it that way. But it's an incredible, incredible resource, we believe. We love all the partnerships that we have with organizations in the community, and we're just super excited about how this will really make it, we think, easier for people. If you have children or care partners that live out of state, we just think it's going to be something that's just really going to be extremely helpful. So, anything else? I think that's all we have for you today. Thank you so very much for coming, and we hope to see you next week. And Suzanne and I will be staying after here if any of you have any additional questions or want to talk with us. Yeah.